Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we're gonna be taking a look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ultimates Baxter Stockman from the folks over at Super7. That is right, my friends. So, I've already taken a look at the SDCC exclusive glow-in-the-dark bug zapper edition of this exact same figure, but now it's time to take a look at the standard release from Series 1 of the new TMNT Ultimates toy line. Truth be told, Baxter is the figure that I was most looking forward to when this wave was revealed. I thought he looked incredible. So I'm pretty anxious to take a look at the standard release. I really like the glow-in-the-dark version, so let's check him out. The packaging is amazing. You can see the villains are going to come with this purple slipcover while the heroes were coming with the green one. But I love how all the slipcovers are even individualized for each of the figures. You got the cool manhole cover on the front, which is nice and textured. It feels really cool. It's got Baxter's face with the mousers on there, which is super cool. And on the backside, we've got that TMNT logo. And it's a slipcover that we can remove to reveal the window box underneath. I got the back facing right now just so you guys can see that there are bios included on the back of the packaging. I also love this kind of sewery look with the graffiti. You got the foot logo spray painted up there. Really amazing boxes here. And then there is our window that fully showcases Baxter and the Mouser and all of the accessories within. Incredible stuff, right? I mean, this is just so cool. I love the packaging on this. I know I said that already with the Raphael review. Awesome. Like, their Ultimates figures have had some really incredible packaging recently. I can totally see how mint and box collectors would love these. They're big boxes, but man, they would display so well because they really show off the figure, and they just got some great artwork on them too. But let's go and open this up so we can get a closer look at the Baxter Stockman figure within. All right, here is Baxter Stockman outside of the packaging. Bringing in the tape measure, you guys can see that the figure stands about 6 inches tall to his head. The wings go up a little bit taller than that. Now, technically, this is a 7-inch scale toy line. Baxter stands with his legs bent like this. Now, when you pull him out of the package, his legs will actually be straight like this. He's got these very, very skinny, straight legs. So technically, if you did want to try to stand him up upright, first of all, it's going to be difficult because with those long, skinny legs, he's very top heavy. It's a little hard to balance him with his legs straight like that, but he will be much taller. In fact, he's right at 7 inches tall, so he loses an inch. But this is how he's supposed to stand. He's supposed to have his legs bent like this. He's modeled after the vintage toy. This is the way the vintage toy was standing, so this is definitely the way he was engineered. And as you can see, he stands really good like this. Now, I did already review the glow-in-the-dark version, so if you guys have already seen that, I don't want to try to double up too much on the information, but some of you guys might have missed that review, so we are going to go over the basics of this guy. He's just incredible. Like, seriously, out of the box, that's the first thing I have to say. This is an amazing looking action figure. The colors are so vibrant on this guy. It's such an amazing paint deco with a lot of paint apps going on here. And he is modeled after the original sculpt from the vintage Ninja Turtles toy line. But the Four Horsemen basically just took the idea of that old toy and they plussed it up. They made him larger, more articulated, and they definitely added a bit more detail than we saw on the original figure, or at least more paint deco. For example, there's a lot of details on those vintage toys that you can see in the sculpt that weren't painted in, but that's been fixed on this figure. So, we've got like the medical syringe that's sticking out of his ripped pocket right there, which looks amazing. You've got the little wedding ring over here on his finger, which is a real detail that's sculpted on the vintage toy, but it was unpainted. So a lot of you might not have even known that that was there, but it's got a nice little shiny gold paint deco. And here's one I even missed on the glow-in-the-dark one. He's got a wristwatch that's like right underneath the sleeve of his lab coat. Look at that. And it's all painted there. It's really, really cool. So some really amazing details. You've got the little yellow bow tie that's just on the skin, like his purple fly skin with like the blue veins. You got this bright kind of orange hair, which is a bit soft and pliable. It's really interesting. It's probably a piece that's glued on to the head sculpt there. But I love it, man. Like, just all the colors are so good. Look at the feet. They've almost got a bit of a shine to them. You got like the blue veins and just like the really, really cool sculpted details on the feet. And then the the same thing with the arms, like the appendages that are coming out of his back there. And then you got the wings, which look straight off of the vintage toy. I mean, the paint deco is so clean and crisp on this guy. I think he looks incredible. He's a very solid feeling, very heavy, very chunky figure. I mean, look at him in my hand. That is a big, big chunky toy. So just to kind of scale him so you guys can see, we'll stand him alongside some of the NECA baddies that we've got out right now, because I know some of you guys probably have those in your collection. You're curious to see how these Super 7 figures scale up with those. And you can see that height-wise, I mean, it's pretty close to the same, but he's bigger and wider and chunkier than those. So you might be able to display them together if that's something that you want to do, but this way you can see what they look like all standing side by side. So let's talk about the articulation with Baxter here. Obviously, he's very hunched over, but he still has this ball joint there that is kind of down in the neck, which allows the head to turn side to side. You get a little bit of up and down movement, but not too much. Basically, you just kind of get that side to side motion there. The arms have like the hinge joints. They're very tight on this guy. So the arms can go about halfway up. You can move them forwards and backwards there. You've got swivels at the elbow. You got one standard joint at the elbow, single elbow joint. You got the swivel at the wrist. You've got the hinge at the wrist. There's nothing in the torso there, but you can swivel at the waist, and it's actually kind of hidden underneath the lab coat, which is really nice. The legs are ball jointed, and if you saw my glow-in-the-dark review, I pointed out how loose those joints were. It is not like that on this one. And hopefully this is how everybody's is, because these are nice, tight joints. I mean, the legs are so much tighter on this one compared to the glow-in-the-dark one. It makes me really, really happy. So nice, tight joints there. You got single joints at the knee. You got that extra joint at the ankle so that we can get that nice bent-legged pose there. You can kind of rock the feet side to side, but not much. Basically, it's just a hinge joint that moves up and down, and it swivels there. And then you've got the extra arms on the back. So these are also jointed just like the shoulders, so you can roll them all the way around. Plus they got the hinges so they can move in and out like that. You got a single joint at the elbow and a swivel at the elbow, and then the wrists can also swivel, and you got the hinge joint at the wrist, and then you've got the wings, which have the nice hinge joints as well, so they can flap up and down, and you can kind of roll them all the way around. One of the things I nitpicked on the glow-in-the-dark one still kind of holds true here. Like the vintage Baxter Stockman, you could stand his wings kind of up like this, like where they would come outwards, but you can see them flat. You can't really do that with this figure. I mean, you could stand them straight up, but that looks ridiculous. I can kind of turn them around, but then they'd be backwards. So, I mean, I guess maybe this is more accurate to the way a fly's wings would be. I don't know. I kind of wish we had like the flat wings sticking out from his back that I could see instead of having them sideways, because it's hard to really see the wings that way. But that's me being nitpicky. You may not have the same opinion. I don't know. It is something I just personally feel like I need to point out. So yeah, he balances really well. Like I said, he's a bit top heavy, especially with these appendages, but like I'm not having any issues standing this guy. The tighter joints in the thighs makes all the difference on this figure. Man, he just feels so sturdy and solid. I am really happy with this one. I truly am, guys. All right, we're going to take a look at the accessories now. So just like with the other figures we've seen so far, Baxter does come with a set of the weapons that are unpainted and attached to a sprue. You can cut these off if you really want to use the unpainted weapons. This is just a nod to the Vintage Turtles line, but have no fear, we also have painted versions of these as well. So we've got the cool little fly swatter weapon, which comes from the vintage toy. It even has the little baby turtle stuck to it, and he's painted. It's so cool. The little rivets kind of have like a metallic paint deco there. And so we've got that. I should probably talk about the interchangeable hands. We got to talk about that because he can't hold this without those. So he comes out of the package with just kind of like these loose open hands here, but we do also have a pair of gripping hands. We've got a pair of closed fists, and we've got the fully opened hands. So you can easily swap these out. Just kind of give a tug there. It pulls the hands right out of socket. And just so we can look at the accessories, we're going to go ahead and plug this one in. I'm going to go ahead and switch. I'm going to plug in one of the open hands. I really like the deco on these hands, by the way, like the flesh tone that they use. I mean, I don't know. It's just got a really good look to it. It's got a very realistic look. I think those are really, really nicely done. So back to the fly swatter. He can hold that in the hand, and it's a nice tight grip, thankfully. It's not too loose. So you can have him sporting onto that little retro mutagen swatter so we can try to mutate the turtles back to little baby turtles. Which brings us to this piece right here. And I talked about it again in the glow-in-the-dark review. So this is something that came off the vintage toy. And it basically, like, you could clip it over his wrist for whatever reason. And, you know, you could plug the swatter into it, but it does not fit on the wrist of this figure or anywhere else on this figure. But I found another use for it, I think. Oh goodness, Baxter, you're proving me wrong about the balance here. Stop falling over. We got this gun as well. Now this is, interestingly, it's unpainted, just like the one on a sprue. I'm not sure why this didn't get any paint deco, but I think this is like one of the retro mutagen type guns that he used in the series. This is good for like these kind of open hands that we had on there before, because they've got kind of like the little trigger finger there. So here, I'm going to swap this back out. We're going to put this gun back in his hand here. Boom, just like that. So you've got that accessory. But that brings me back to this, because this thing right here fits perfectly over the barrel of this gun. And I don't know if that's what was intended, but now you can pose them with the gun and the swatter together. Again, I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to work, but it definitely fits. So it's something that you can do if you want to. And then arguably Baxter's best accessory, he comes with a full-on Mouser action figure, and it is incredible. So this is our fully painted version. We had an all glow-in-the-dark one with that exclusive Baxter, but this one is definitely colored more like the original toy line version. I love it. You got the red foot insignia up there. You got the red eyes. The mouth does open and close. It's actually a really tight joint, but look at that. You can open it and close it. There's even some sculpted ridges on the inside of his mouth there, which is really cool. And then you can even move the legs forwards and backwards. Now, the ankles and knees don't articulate. These are all solid. So there's really only one way you can stand him. But still, man, I love that we've got a Mouser with this guy. And I hope Super 7 finds ways to include more Mousers with more villains down the road. Because, you know, we're going to need like an army of Mousers, right? I think that is really, really cool. I'm so glad it comes with this figure. All right, guys, it's comparison time. So let's stand Baxter alongside his vintage action figure counterpart, just so you can see what this figure looks like, standing alongside the original action figure that he is based upon. And hey, since we've got that glow-in-the-dark one, might as well throw him in there too, just so we can see what he looks like standing alongside that cool blue glow figure. So there you go, my friends. That is a look at the Series 1 TMNT Ultimates Baxter Stockman action figure. Seriously, guys, I love this one. I think he's awesome. I think the sculpt is great. The paint is great. The joints are all nice and tight. I really have very little to complain about here. This was the figure I was most excited for, and he definitely met my personal expectations, so I hope he does for you guys as well. This is just a seriously fun toy. I'm so happy to have it. Now, these figures were sold by pre-order, because that's how Super 7 does their figures. So they did an open pre-order for a full month before going into production on these figures. Took about a year to get them in hand, but we've got them now, or they're starting to ship now for those of you that pre-ordered from other sites. Unfortunately, they're sold out everywhere, including all of the third-party sites. But if you guys are at all interested in Super 7's TMNT figures, I would highly recommend jumping on the pre-orders for future waves so the same thing doesn't happen to those. You can pick them up at places like Megalopolis. You can get them at Big Bad Toy Store. Big Bad even sells them for the same price that Super 7 did. So you can check out the links in the video description if you guys are interested. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, my friends.